Well, this changes everything.
Honored guests, I propose a toast to Krakoa.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Blitzwinger, and ladies and gentlemen, when I say that Marvel Rivals dropped a crap ton of news on us, I mean a crap ton of news. There's so much to talk about. There's brand new characters coming to the game. There's brand new leaked characters coming to the game. There's brand new skins. Lots of them. Many of them are paid. Many of them are free. We've got brand new balance patches to talk about and much more. Now, of course, before we dive into all the details, just take a quick moment and smash that thumbs up button. Thank you guys so very much for your kindness and your support. Let's aim for 1,000 likes and hopefully we can reach that goal. And without further ado, let's dive on in. So first and foremost, we have a confirmation that Dracula has been defeated, Blade has indeed been rescued, and to celebrate, Emma Frost is actually going to be hosting a very special Hellfire Gala event that invites everyone to celebrate the glorious defeat of Dracula. So surprisingly so, I think a lot of us were expecting the next playable character in Marvel Rivals to be Blade, but he is not going to be the next playable character or even the one after the next one, because with the new reveal for this new season, it has been officially confirmed that Emma Frost will indeed be the next playable character for Marvel Rivals. And then the character after her, the character that will be joining with the 2.5 update, is actually going to be Ultron, which again, definitely quite surprising. But on the bright side, I guess for the people that were really concerned about the fact that we were getting too many duelists in the game, the good news is that Emma Frost is indeed confirmed to be a Vanguard, and she seems like she's going to be a fantastic character to deal with dive comps or dive characters. So that is definitely pretty exciting that we got another counter to the dive characters. So definitely a big dub there. And then, of course, Ultron is rumored to be a strategist character, which means that Season 2's newest characters will actually be a strategist and a Vanguard instead of the classic insane lineup of duelists that we've been getting. Now, of course, we can't move on from the Emma Frost talk without talking about her additional skins, because as much as her default look sent the internet into a frenzy, her X-Revolution skin, well, it basically caused a meltdown of every possible Twitter server. But beyond that, we also did get these two recolor skins available for her default look. So one of them is going to be just the traditional recolors that they release. And then this one right here is called the Golden Diamond variant. And this one is actually going to be a reward skin, allegedly for reaching a certain rank in season number 2. Now, of course, beyond Emma Frost herself, we also got the entire trailer for season number 2 as a whole, which will bring us 10 brand spanking new skins in the form of the newest battle pass, meaning that we are going to be getting new characters for Iron Fist, Magic, Black Widow, Peach Momoko's Luna, as well as Spider-Man designs. So cool to finally see those appear in the game itself. Cloak and Dagger, Captain America, a fix-it version of Hulk, which I'm very excited for, Psylocke looking really cool in her classic X-Men attire, and then Squirrel Girl. So a nice selection of characters being included there, all set to debut on, of course, April 11th, when the brand new season of Marvel Rivals launches. Now, I know what a lot of you guys are probably saying, man, that's a lot of new paid skins that we'll be getting into the game with the Battle Pass, but fear not. There's actually a handful of free skins that are coming to the game as well, which I really appreciate. I do like that the developers are trying to balance releasing paid new premium skins, but then at the same time still offering cheap, or in some cases literally free, alternatives to the community as well. So for example, the previously mentioned Iron Fist and Magic skins from the Battle Pass, those will actually be free to unlock, so you won't actually have to buy the Battle Pass in order to unlock those. So that's a major dub. In addition to that, we're going to be getting a brand new Twitch drop skin, which is going to be this version of Namor. So that is pretty neato. We're going to be getting a new Scarlet Witch skin that is unlockable by just simply playing 9 matches during season number 2, allowing you to go ahead and unlock this variant of Scarlet Witch. And finally, there's also going to be a new event taking place, or probably one of multiple new events taking place during season number 2, which will allow you to unlock this really cool and unique looking version of Mantis as well. But of course, cosmetics is not the only new thing that we're getting with season number 2. There are a lot of new gameplay changes that are coming to the game as well, including the changes that will be addressing team-ups.
Here's what's changing. Metallic Chaos and Voltaic Union will be completely removed from the game. Psylocke will be removed from Dimensional Shortcut. Winter Soldier will no longer be part of Ammo Overload. Namor is being removed from sharing Charisma. Doctor Strange is stepping back from Gamma Charge, where Namor will be joining the party, complete with the ability to summon Gamma Supercharged monster spawns.
I really do love the fact that Marvel Rivals can essentially use team-ups as a way to balance or rebalance the game and create new metas by removing certain characters from certain team-ups, adding characters into existing team-ups, or just introducing brand new team-ups altogether. But team-ups is not the only thing that will be getting introduced in terms of changes to the actual way the game plays, because individual heroes will be experiencing quite a bit of changes as well with the season 2 update. So grab your favorite drink, grab your favorite snack. There's one heck of a list to run through here, and let's dive into that. So we kick things off with Captain America, who will be experiencing a little bit of a nerf in 2 separate categories. First and foremost, his base health will be getting reduced from 675 points down to 650. His value for his shield from his Living Legend ability will also be experiencing a reduction in the form of going from the current 400 points down to 350 points. Another Vanguard who will be experiencing a nerf is Doctor Strange, who will be experiencing 2 separate debuffs. First and foremost, we have a decrease of damage to the daggers of Danak from the current 18 points per projectile down to 16 points per projectile. And then in addition to that, there's also going to be a reduction of conversion ratio of dark magic to damage for his Maelstrom of Madness ability from the current 1.3 down to 1.2. Now, next up, we're talking about the Hulk, who seems to be getting quite a bit faster with Season 2 of Marvel Rivals. First and foremost, they are going to be increasing his base movement speed from 600 to 650. And then additionally to that, they're actually going to be reducing the charge time on the Incredible Leap from the current 0.7 seconds to 0.5 seconds, meaning that you'll be able to get around the map faster as the Hulk. But that is still not all, because his Indestructible Guard ability will also have a reduction in cooldown from the current 12 seconds down to 10 seconds. So to me, it seems like the Hulk is going to be a much more prevalent character in Season 2 than he was in Season 1. Now, Magneto is actually going to be getting an interesting change as well, because his ultimate will take a little bit longer to charge up now, from the current 3,100 points required to hit your ultimate to 3,400 points to hit your ultimate. So it'll take a little bit longer to hit that ult. And interestingly enough, Penny Parker is going to be getting a crazy boost, increasing the base health from 650 all the way up to 750. So that should definitely help with survivability even further. And then in addition to that, her Cyberweb Cluster ability actually has the chance to hit critical damage now, which is obviously a major dub, helps her in terms of being able to be a more impactful damaging character. Plus, another really cool thing is that they're actually going to be reducing the speed penalty on the Cyberweb Cluster from 40% to 20%. Like, you know, when you're firing with the cyber web clusters as Penny, you kind of move a lot slower than you usually would because you're being penalized with like a 40% speed reduction. Well, now that's only going to be 20, which means you'll be able to move a little bit faster than before. The Thing is going to be getting a slight nerf in the fact that his Embattled Leap damage reduction effect for both himself and his teammates will actually be getting reduced from the current 30% down to 25%. And interestingly enough, the mighty Thor is actually going to be getting a pretty good boost here, because his base health will be increasing from the current 525 health points up to 600 points. And in addition to that, he'll be able to move a little bit faster with a current increase from 600 to 650. So next up, let's move on to Black Widow, where a brand new effect will now allow you to fire immediately after utilizing your second kick of Edge Dancer, or after utilizing your ultimate ability. So basically just allowing to create a little bit of a better optimization and quicker transition from using an ability into firing her weapon. Now, Hawkeye is going to be receiving an interesting set of upgrades here because now his ultimate will be able to be used a lot quicker. Now you will only need 3,100 points in order to activate your ult instead of the current 3,700 points. So that's a pretty substantial reduction. In addition to that, his draw speed for his bow and arrow will actually be going from the current 1.35x to 1.5x. So again, allowing you to fire your bow that much quicker. In addition to that, his hypersonic arrow will be going up in damage from 50 to 55, and the slow effect while charging your bow will be dropping from 30 down to 20%. So Hawkeye players, I think you're pretty excited for season 2. Now, interestingly enough, Hela will be experiencing both, I guess, a buff and a nerf at the same time. So her mobility is getting nerfed because her astral flock ability will be going up in terms of cooldown from the current 12 seconds to 15 seconds. So it'll take you a little bit longer to get access to that form. But on the bright side, you will have increased spell field damage of your piercing knight ability, going up from the current 30 points up to 35 points, which is obviously a massive dub. And the Soul Drainer ability will also be getting a reduction in cooldown from the current 12 seconds down to 10 seconds. The Human Torch is also going to be receiving some interesting changes, including the fact that his primary fire, the Fire Cluster ability, will be speeding up from the current 0.6 per second speed down to 0.5, so you'll be able to use it quicker. In addition to that, one thing that you will be using slower is his Flaming Meteor ability, because the cooldown for that ability is going up from currently 12 seconds up to 15 seconds. However, it's not all bad news because they're also adding a new effect to the ability where essentially when you hit down with the ability, you will immediately receive a 75 health bonus, which I think is cool. It adds a little bit more to the survivability of Human Torch, but do keep in mind that there will be a fall off effect for that bonus health of losing around 30 health points per second after 3 seconds of the effect being live. So it's not like a permanent bonus health that you get to keep. Iron Man is getting some interesting changes as well because his hitbox size is actually going to be getting a reduction, which means it'll be a little bit difficult or more difficult to eliminate him in the skies. And then additionally to that, he's also going to be, similarly to the Human Torch, getting a 100 bonus health boost that will activate when you either go into your Armor Overdrive ability or a Gamma Overdrive ability as part of the team up move. And once again, there is also a fall off effect for this one as well, where 5 seconds after you've activated this ability, the bonus health will begin to reduce at 30 points per second. Now with Iron Fist, it's quite clear that they're trying to optimize him to be a Vanguard Slayer because he's going to be getting some interesting, very specific changes. So first and foremost, his bonus max health that you can gain from Harmony Recovery is going to be going down from 150 to 100, which is quite a lot. However, they will be reducing the fall off rate from the health bonus from the current 25 per second down to 15 per second. So at least that bonus health will be going down slower. So even though you're getting less of a boost, it is going down slower. So hopefully it kind of like sets one another off. But here's the more interesting part, that his primary attack, like his primary fire, is actually going to be getting a reduction in fixed damage from the current 10 damage down to 9 damage. However, they are going to be increasing the percentage damage of the enemy's max health per strike from 1.7 to 2.1, which means his default damage has been reduced. However, his damage to tanks has actually been substantially increased, meaning that it's quite clear that the focus here is to try to get Iron Fist to be a character that you counterpick when having to deal with, let's say, a team of 3 tanks or more of the higher health characters. So I think that's kind of interesting. Oh, and also his Conloon kick will actually be getting a reduction in cooldown from the current 12 seconds to 10 seconds, which means you'll have that extra little bit of mobility to work with when using that kick. Now, Mr. Fantastic is one of the characters that seems to be getting almost like a complete rework. There's a lot to talk about with him, so let's begin. First, we have an increase to his health a slight increase from the current 350 to 375 HP. He's going to be experiencing a damage boost to the stretch punch from the current 60 up to 65, and also experiencing a boost when he's in his inflated state, going up once again by 5 points from the current 75 to 80 points. His flexible elongation is gaining a brand new effect where if enemies are within the range of the attack, they will also experience a 35% slowdown or slowness effect. So that should make targets a lot easier to hit, I guess, while you are in range of the flexible elongation. And they've also reduced the cooldown for that ability down from the current 10 seconds to 8 seconds. So you'll be able to spam that ability a little bit faster. Interestingly enough, the way that you're going to be hitting your inflated state is also going to be getting a change up, because currently his elastic strength, which is his passive ability, grants you 30 points of elasticity. That will actually be getting reduced all the way down to 20 points. And they are trying to counterbalance that by increasing the amount of points of elasticity that you gain from your stretch punch. That is going to be going up from 5 to 8. So I guess the idea here is to try to get a better balance of how quickly you can get into your inflated state. And interestingly enough, the current bonus health boost that the inflated state gives you is 450 points. That will be dropping down to 400. And finally, there's going to be a brand new feature that is added to his ultimate ability, the Brainiac Bounce, where he will get a bonus health equal to the one that you gain when entering inflated state. So that would be 400 extra bonus points that you can trigger as a bonus boost to your health as Mr. Fantastic. So a lot of reworks coming to Reed Richards. Moon Knight players, you're going to be really excited because he's getting a lot of really powerful changes. If you hate playing against Moon Knight, I'm sorry. But essentially, first and foremost, his projectile speed is going to be going up for his crescent darts. So that is going to be going up from 120 to 150. Interestingly enough, he's also going to be gaining a really cool, at least it seems like, could be maybe even broken, ability for essentially where he's going to gain 25 bonus health with each enemy hit, up to a maximum of an additional 100 points. Yes, it also does have a stagnant wear down effect. So essentially 3 seconds after that bonus health has stopped increasing, it will then start to fall off at a rate of 20 per second, which is something that we've seen commonly for most bonus health abilities in this game. But this definitely should add quite a bit to the survivability of Moon Knight, but you also do once again need to prioritize having enemies bunched up together so that this bonus health even activates, so that as each one of the enemies is getting hit by your projectile ability, you'll be building up that bonus health, allowing you to stay alive for a tad bit longer. But not only will you be able to stay alive a bit longer thanks to this health boost, you're also going to be able to get in and out of battle a little bit quicker, because his Moonlight Hook pull startup animation is actually going to be getting a reduction from 0.4 seconds down to 0.15 seconds. That means you'll be able to just get going a little bit faster. I think that's a massive dub. As someone who's been trying to learn Moon Knight, that is definitely sometimes frustrating, the amount of time that it actually takes to cast his Moonlight Hook pull. So this speed up should be quite interesting. And then finally, we have his ultimate that is also going to be getting a rework once again, because he actually got his ultimate reworked not that long ago. But this time around, they're definitely, at least on paper, seemingly making it quite a bit more powerful, because they are going to be increasing the duration of time that the spell will be cast from the current 3.5 seconds up to 4.5 seconds. They're also going to be increasing the number of talents that are going to be like punching down through the ult from the current 14 up to 18. They also will speed up how fast those talents are falling, even though that is just a slight increase. But they also added an interesting new mechanic to the ult, where essentially at the center of the ultimate is where you're going to be able to do the most amount of damage. But as you get further and further away from the very center of the spell, there's going to be a damage reduction. So at anywhere outside of around like 5 meters of the center of the ult, there's going to be a reduction of damage of 70%. So even though they're speeding up the ult, they're also making it stick around for a lot longer. They've also added this new mechanic where you really are going to need to try to prioritize having your targets at the center of the ultimate instead of just within the circle itself. So an interesting strategic change. Scarlet Witch is going to be receiving some very interesting changes as well, including changes to her primary fire that I think are quite substantial. Chaos Control currently does have an effect where it does its base damage of 6, but then in addition to that, it also does 0.3% of the enemy's max health as damage per hit. Well, that is going to be getting reworked. In fact, it's getting removed altogether, and instead her primary fixed damage is just going to be going up from 60 to 80. So that's a pretty substantial change. Her Chthonian Burst projectile ability is going to be getting a 5-point boost in damage from the current 35 to 40 damage, as well as a spell field damage boost of, once again, 5 points from 35 to 40. We're going to be seeing an interesting cooldown increase to her Mystic Projection. That's when she goes like kind of invincible and invisible to a certain extent, where it's going to be going up from 8 to 10 seconds, so you won't be able to use it quite as long. But as if all that wasn't bad enough, they're also going to be reducing the amount of time that you actually stay in that phased form from 2 seconds down to 1.5 seconds. So I'm very curious to see how that, I guess, affects her survivability, because I feel like a lot of Wanda players will oftentimes utilize that Mystic Projection to be able to get out of harm's way. So reducing that and giving it a much larger cooldown is going to be very interesting. And then finally, her ultimate ability, the Reality Erasure, is going to be getting a slight rework, where right now, as soon as you begin to cast the spell, you begin to experience like a slowness to how fast you can move. They're going to be removing that to a certain part where that slowness effect will not be going live until 1.5 seconds after you hit the ult. So that should allow you to maybe, like, I guess, sneak up on enemies from a longer distance, since you don't have to be worried about being so slowed down immediately. So that's an interesting change as well. Peter Quill is going to be getting a slight nerf to his Blaster Barrage ability, because the damage for that ability will be dropping down from the current 80 points down to 75 points. And they're also introducing a new damage fall-off mechanic to that same ability, where essentially starting at 4 meters or further, you're going to take less and less damage from the ability itself, maxing out at 8 meters, where the fall-off and damage reduction will be 80%. So within that 8 meters, it means that you will not be taking 80% of the damage. The Winter Soldier is going to be receiving some very interesting changes, making him seemingly much less of a problem in Season 2 than he has been in Season 1 and 1.5, because, first and foremost, his Bionic Hook is getting a huge cooldown increase, at least in my opinion, going from the current 8 seconds all the way up to 12 seconds. That's a 50% increase. I mean, that is one heck of a slowdown, so I'm very curious what Bucky players think of that. And then we have his ultimate ability, Kraken Impact, which is also going to be experiencing a nerf in 2 different ways. First and foremost, we have a reduction of damage from the current 100 points down to 80 points. But then, as if all that wasn't interesting enough, you know that little bit of like red health that you have to like hit down on an enemy in order to quote unquote hit the calling threshold as Winter Soldier, in order to be able to go again, you know what I mean? Well, currently you only need to hit 20% of maximum health in order to do that or activate it, reach that threshold. Now that will be getting dropped down to 15% of health. So it means that it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get into activating that again, all over again. Bruh. And finally, for the duelist category, we have Wolverine, where there is a plethora of changes coming to his rage ability. So listen up. First, we have an increase to the amount of rage that you gain from Savage Claw. That will be going up from the current 7 up to 10 points, which is cool. There's also going to be an increase that you're going to be getting from taking damage. So when you currently take damage, you usually get 3 points of rage. Now that will be going up to 5 points of rage. However, there's a lot of decreases coming as well. So for example, Claw Strike is going to be decreasing from the current 7 to 5. The rage that you gain from Feral Leap will be dropping from 20 all the way down to 10, which seems like a pretty substantial reduction. And then the Vicious Rampage is also going to be decreasing from the current 20 rage points down to 15. So pretty substantial changes there to Wolverine's, I guess, core passive abilities, coming in the form of all these different changes. And then in addition to that, there's also a change that will be getting implemented to his ultimate Last Stand, where currently it causes the enemy knocked down to be knocked down for 1 second. That will be getting reduced to 0.75 of a second. And so, of course, now we move on to the category of strategists, where there's a lot of changes being implemented as well. So let's kick things off with Adam Warlock, who will be experiencing 2 changes coming to the character. First, there's an increase to the cooldown for Soul Bond from the current 30 seconds all the way up to 40 seconds. So that's a very interesting change. And even more so interesting is the change that is coming to his revival ability, or his ultimate ability, because currently when you revive your allies, they revive with a fixed 100 HP. But once this update goes live, they will instead revive with 30% of their health, which is a very interesting change, because to me, it means that, for example, if you're a tank, you're going to be rezzing with a lot more health than what you're used to. So a very interesting change coming to Warlock. Cloak and Dagger is receiving an interesting change to their ultimate, where essentially, as of right now, I guess each one of the healing zones that gets created by the ult would kind of fade in order. So like, let's say once the first zone appears, it would be the first one to disappear. After this patch goes live, all of the healing zones will be disappearing together. So they will not have like a staggering effect. They will instead all time out together. Invisible Woman is going to be receiving a slight nerf in the shield value that you gain from Guardian Shields. That will be going down from the current 300 points to 250 points. Loki's Regeneration Domain is going to be receiving a cooldown increase from the current 25 seconds all the way up to 30 seconds. So hopefully that will be a much less tedious ability to deal with. Mantis will be receiving a couple of interesting changes. First of all, her base health is going to be coming down from 275 down to 250. But interestingly enough, starting with this new patch, the effects of Healing Flower and Allied Inspiration will be able to be stacked up to a maximum of 16 seconds. And finally, we have Rocket, who's going to be getting a very interesting set of changes being implemented in season number 2. First and foremost, they are increasing the cooldown for Jetpack Dash quite substantially, from the current 6 seconds going all the way up to 10 seconds. And as if all that wasn't enough, the actual dash distance of that ability will be coming down from the current 10 meters down to 8 meters. So obviously they feel like Rocket is possibly a little too mobile and maybe a little bit too difficult to hit. So this rework might make the character a little bit easier to deal with. But that's not all, because his repair mode spheres are also taking a substantial hit down in healing, or at least over time healing, because currently they heal 70 HP per second. That'll be coming down all the way to 50 HP per second. However, they will be adding an interesting new effect where a one-time healing boost to allies will be given of 55 health. So I feel like maybe the idea there is to reward being more precise with your aim as Rocket, and also allow him to have a little bit of that burst healing that characters like Luna or Mantis have. They're also going to go ahead and increase the projectile reduction speed from the current 4.5 to 7. So essentially that's the slowdown of the orbs when they get in contact with injured allies. That effect that currently is already implemented will be increased. They're also going to actually increase the speed reduction of the orbs themselves from the current 4.5 to 7. So essentially that's when the orbs are close to injured allies, they slow down for that amount of time. Now that is actually getting increased, so that means you should be able to heal for a longer period of time. So an interesting set of changes there, definitely a nerf to the overall healing. And then his ultimate ability, Sia, is going to be getting an interesting rework, where it seems like they're pivoting away from it being a damage boosting ability, because it's going to be getting a reduction from 40% down to 25%. However, on the flip side, what they're adding is essentially that while the ult has been hit, linked allies to the ultimate itself will receive an additional 100 bonus health points per second, and that will cap out at 150 points total extra health that has been added. However, once you break the link to the ultimate itself, there is going to be a fall off of essentially 75 health points per second. So within around 2 seconds, you will begin to lose that bonus health that you already gained. So obviously the idea here is to maybe make it less substantial in terms of the damage that you receive, but help you in terms of survivability. So an interesting set of changes being implemented there. Oh, and they also will make the ultimate a little bit more difficult to obtain because it will be going up in the energy cost from the current 3,700 points up to 4,000 points. Whew, that was a lot of stuff to discuss, but we are still not done yet, because with season number 2, they're also going to be introducing some other interesting new mechanics. So for example, there's going to be new recolors for existing skins being introduced. We haven't got a clarification on whether or not this is going to be kind of like just edit styles for existing skins. So meaning that, like, let's say you bought one of these premium skins, are you going to get these recolors for free, or will they be a separate purchase in the store altogether? If you buy a skin and it gets a recolor, do you get a discount? We didn't get any clarification for that yet, so hopefully we will find out soon enough. My hope is that they are either going to be free edits, but I most likely think that they will probably be paid ones. However, it would be really cool if they made them, let's say, a really cheap discounted price. If you already own the original version of the skin, I think that would definitely be the way to go. Speaking of owning skins, you will now actually be able to gift skins. The cool thing is that gifting skins will be going live with season number 2 as well. Gifting will unlock at level number 10. You will be able to gift up to 5 skins per day, which is pretty freaking awesome. You can send gifts to friends that do not own a skin. If they own a part of a bundle, then you will have a discounted price when gifting them, let's say, the rest of the bundle. So that's really cool. Essentially pretty much the exact same system as we have in a game like Fortnite. We also found out that the ranked map rotation is going to be taking a substantial change.
Coinciding with the season update and with the increase in maps, we will be rotating maps to keep the battlegrounds fresh. For season 2.0, Hellfire Gala Krakoa will enter the competitive pool, while Yaska Royal Palace and Tokyo 2099 Shinshibuya will be retired from ranked play. Tournaments will use the same map rotation as the competitive, but quick match and custom games will still feature every map, no rotation there.
Another interesting change that will be getting implemented with season number 2 is reworks to the ranked system as a whole. So right now you need to be able to hit level 10 before you can even compete in ranked mode. That will actually be getting increased from level 10 all the way up to level 15. So it'll take you a little bit longer to have access to ranked mode as a whole. They're also going to be implementing the pick and ban system at gold 3 rank, whereas before this, currently, you have to hit diamond in order to have access to pick and ban. So that's an interesting implementation. And they will no longer allow you to queue as more than a duo when you are in an eternity or a one above all rank. That means that you cannot queue as a trio or a 4-player stack once you reach those upper echelons. And finally, possibly the most exciting official announcement that we've received for Marvel Rivals is the fact that starting with season number 3, yes, we're already talking season number 3, the length of the seasons is getting cut down to 2 months. That means one new character every single month starting with season number 3. That is insanely ambitious. I hope that they can continue to deliver with that level of ambition, but that is also extremely exciting, getting brand new characters on a monthly basis. But if any team could do it, it's probably them, because they've done a pretty excellent job so far. So hopefully they can keep that up. So now that we've talked about all the official stuff, let's talk about the unofficial stuff. So this is the leak portion of the video. First and foremost, we have the folks over at XOX Leak on Twitter who have gone ahead and discovered my boy, Daredevil, aka the Man Without Fear. He is indeed being worked on as a Marvel Rivals character. So much so that they've actually been able to find out what his passive ability is called, which is spherical clipping. I think that's pretty freaking exciting. I cannot wait for one of my favorite Marvel characters to be added into Marvel Rivals. That is going to be a pretty exciting month indeed. But as if all that wasn't enough, They also found information that suggests that Professor Xavier is an upcoming character, which makes sense because after all, he does appear as a statue within the Krakoa map trailer. So that is quite obvious that he exists within this universe for sure. But in addition to that, they've also discovered some of his actual move names or ability names, or possibly ability names. We have X-Men Collection, Potential Stimulation, and Mind Projection. And they also hinted to the fact that he would probably be a strategist, which I guess makes sense for character. The same folks over on Twitter have also found out that we are going to be getting a brand new Bucky MCU skin. So this will most likely, if I had to guess, is probably based on the upcoming Thunderbolts movie. However, it would be far more exciting if it was actually based on the Winter Soldier movie. But I guess time will tell. On the bright side, Bucky players, you have an MCU skin to be on the lookout for. Namor is going to be getting a really cool looking retro X-Men outfit to go along with the other retro X-Men outfits that we have seen with season number 2. There's this brand new Jeff skin that Jeff players will be able to add to their collections, hopefully sometime soon. And then we have this really cool looking corrupted Iron Fist skin where it seems like, I'm gonna guess, with season 1.5, when Ultron debuts, we're gonna get a wave of characters that are corrupted, or I guess are being like controlled by Ultron, and that will inspire a whole new collection of skins being released. So there you guys have it. That was the update, an absolutely ginormous amount of news, all broken down in one giant video. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to take a quick moment and leave a like. That would be very much appreciated. I will hopefully catch you guys here on the next one. Have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. Peace out. I'll see y'all later, alligators. Bye-bye, everybody.